going to show you the most amazing technique to get crispy skin whilst keeping your chicken super moist. Right, so today we're going to make some brick chicken. Brick chicken is something that originated in America, and it doesn't necessarily have to be brick. It's just the principle of cooking something with a heavy weight on top. Particularly chicken, you get a really good caramelization, but then it also steams it because the steams can't escape whilst cooking. So it cooks it quite gently as well as cooking it quite aggressively. So you get ultra crispy skin, but lovely steamed, moist flesh. What I'm going to do for this is actually I'm going to do a sort of reverse crown butchery. Take it down on the legs, being careful to keep as much skin on as possible. And then with the wings, I'm just going to take those off, find the bone, take this off here until you hit the bone, and then do the same on the other side. And then what we're going to do is just follow the bone up to release the breast, but being really careful that when we hit central breastbone, we do it really gently because we don't want to go through the skin as well. So basically you get two lovely bits of breast, some people consider the best bit, and then once you've gone through that side, you can actually just take it off like you would conventionally. Following around this way with your knife and just release it at the top, like so. Go down the other side of the breastbone and then peel it off the skin. So you're still left with the thighs and the legs, which you can do another different preparation of, and then just free the last bit of bone. So what we've got there is we've got the other side of our chicken, which we'll just take off like that, and then again on the other side. And then these bones we're going to use for our stocks. So we've actually left the wishbone in, so just go down. Best way to take a wishbone out is just to scrape it with your knife, release it, and then just give it a really gentle pull. And you want to try and get it all in one go because there's a little lip at the top there. So yes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim up on the inside of this. So you got the small little bit of cartilage at the bottom, and take that off. On the inside of the fillets you've got two little bits of sinew that run all the way down. So I'm just going to take those off. You've got your two fillets there. Also you've got your little under fillets that we've just trimmed up, so there's no sinew in there at all. And then we've got our skin, which is perfectly intact on the top. So what I'm going to do now is just put this into a brine. It just increases the tenderness of the meat. It basically makes the meat cells dilate through osmosis. Brining is just a surefire way to make sure that the chicken is as moist as possible. So 10% salt, a few herbs, a few peppercorns. Okay, so this has been brining now for about 2.5 hours. Just lay it down and give it a little pat down. You can also rinse your chicken as well. That stops the brining process. So if you were storing this for service, you'd give it a quick rinse under cold water. But we're going to cook this straight away. So what we're actually going to do is just not season it and just use the leftover salt from the brine. In the pan, add some oil and get it nice and hot. And what we're going to do is just make sure that that skin is covering the meat all the way over. We're going to use 2 cast iron pans just to weigh it down. I have used a brick in the past. It works really well. But obviously we don't have too many pieces of brick just lying around in the kitchen, so use 2 cast iron pans. So those goes in. At this point, hold it down. And that crackle that you feel underneath your fingers is just the steam trying to escape from the skin as it starts to get crispy. And then a good amount of weight goes on. This is the easiest recipe in the world because basically you're not going to check that for about 10 to 15 minutes until you add your butter to finish the cooking process. A little bit of time that we're going to add into the pan to finish the chicken in foaming butter. And then we're just going to finish this with a really light sauce, brandy, and then a little bit of chicken stock, a little bit of lemon juice, and a little bit of mustard. So this is just minced garlic. We've started it off quite high, just to give that skin the initial rendering out, so we've got enough fat to cook in. And we've just reduced the heat, so it's now on the lowest setting that it can go. It won't take too long to cook, and you don't really want to be changing or checking it very much. You want to be giving it the maximum amount of time on that skin so that it gets super, super crispy. You can just apply a little bit of light pressure. But yeah, what's the purpose of the pan is just to seal in that juice. Whilst that cooks, take a little bit of tarragon. It's been about 8 or 9 minutes, so I'm just checking it for the first time. You can see it's like really, really crispy already. I actually reckon we can get a little bit crispier on there. Add a little bit of butter on the side. So butter's just a really gentle way of cooking something, but you can maintain the heat in the cast iron pan at the same time. Spoon it over the breast. So it's just going to lightly start cooking from the other side, and then hopefully what you've got is sort of a convection of heat that reaches the middle eventually and cooks it perfectly. So this is a really gentle way of cooking something. I'm going to add a bit of thyme now in there. If you don't have a cast iron pan at home, you should really invest in one. You don't get like hot spots in a cast iron because of the way they're made. You can see this is an induction and it's basically completely flush. That's going to cook now on the bottom side for the next 1 to 2 minutes. So really, really gently. And I'm just lifting the cast iron up. One of the best things about cast iron is you've got the residual heat that stays inside the pan. This will now continue to cook even though it's not actually on the heat. I think some people think that it's quite an aggressive way to cook, but actually if you use it properly it gives you a lot more freedom. Little tip for you, temp wise with chicken, obviously it's a very sensitive subject. The problem is every housewife across the Western world has been terrified into overcooking chicken, but the reality is it actually doesn't need a huge amount of time to cook. Now I've got a temperature probe which I use in the restaurant, which is going to tell me that this is on 56 degrees, but if you don't and you have a cake tester at home and then just bring it to your lip, and if it's hot, it's in uncomfortably hot, means it's over 60 degrees. And with the amount of heat that we've given it, that means that it's going to rest up absolutely easily, way above the 72, which is what they want from an EHO point of view. Just to do a really quick, simple sauce, I've got that minced garlic, I've got all the juice from the pan, garlic goes in, super quick, don't leave it longer than 30 seconds. Touch of brandy, you can use Madeira if you want for this as well. Give that a quick flambe. I didn't know it was going to go. Add a little bit of chicken stock once that's burnt off, and then just bring that to a hard boil. Whilst we're doing that, we can start carving our chicken. Just going to go through the breast. So crispy. Always add in fresh acidity at the end and then herbs after that. Cast iron's still got heat in there, residual heat. I'm going to finish with just a little bit of lemon juice. Whole grain mustard. Whole grain mustard's actually got an enzyme in it that naturally thickens sauces. A touch of tarragon that we chopped earlier, just let that wilt down. The idea is here, it wants to coat the chicken. There we have it. It's our brick chicken with tarragon and mustard sauce.